Welcome into a very special episode here on the Southern Sports Scene. I'm your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Make sure you all do us a favor. Y'all hit the like and share button down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live, posting a video or posting a short here on the Southern Sports Scene. As always, we are proud to partner with our good friends and colleagues over at Buzzer. Make sure you go on over to the Buzzer app today. Download it and see if you can become a verified creator to get the best and latest in all things sports without all of the BS. We also want to thank our friends at FrostBuddy. Going over to frostbuddy.com, use the promo code SSS15 to get 15% off your first purchase. That is code SSS15. Also, thank you to our friends at Chike Nutrition. 20 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, and 1 gram of sugar in every healthy, hearty cup of ice or a cup of iced coffee, whatever it is that you need to get your day started. Why not do it with the best available coffee on the market? Got a very special guest with us here today, Tyler Larkin of Inside the Lines, one of the best on all of Facebook regarding semi-pro football. Very, very, very big following and very honored to have him with us. Tyler, good to see you, my friend. You and I talked a little bit over the weekend, and this has been something that's been on my mind for a while. Figured since our semi-pro season finally came to an end, it's about time that we took some time and we had you on the show. But good to see you, my friend. How are you today?
Hey, good to see you. I'm glad to be here, man. And I want to be the first one to say, hell of a season with the Cardinals. You guys had a great season, and I look forward to seeing what you guys can do in the future.
A lot of stuff to look forward to, indeed. So, one of the biggest things and why I wanted to get you on the show to talk semi-pro, and I know that our viewers at home are wondering, what the hell are we doing talking about semi-pro football? This is a college football show. What the hell are you talking about? This past season, I was honored and got an opportunity to play the game of football for the first time in 5 freaking years. I'm 22 years old. Crazy to believe. So, I got to play with the Bayou Lacombe Cardinals this past year. Wonderful experience. Enjoyed the hell out of it and could not be more blessed that I got to play the game once again. But we had a lot going on in semi-pro football over this past weekend. Tyler, I know you were very much involved with some of the drama, some of the backstories that we got to see over this weekend. You've been very active on social media about it. Talk to me a little bit about all the different championship games that happened this past weekend. What was one of the biggest takeaways that you took from what we saw from a lot of the semi-pro leagues this past Saturday?
Well, we had a bunch of big games. I think one of the biggest games wasn't even a semi-pro game. It was just, I mean, it wasn't even a championship game. It was just a regular season game between the Sheboygan SaberCats and the Racine Raiders. That was a huge game. Um, Sheboygan was not favored for about 17 and a half. They were underdogs, and they ended up only losing by one. So I think that was a huge takeaway for me. And for the championship games, honestly, I think they all did a good job. They have to keep working and making sure they strive for the best. But for right now, I think one of the biggest things we have to talk about are the fights that keep happening in the game. It's ridiculous, and I think that some of these leagues need to put the hammer down on what's going on because even though these championship games are good to see, they're being overshadowed by guns and violence and owners not taking responsibility for what's happening.
So just kind of talk about one of the fights, because I know that this was a big topic from your Facebook page as we take a look. The Michigan Bills took a page right from the AWFL and used AI to create their I'm sorry post. We would like to sincerely apologize for the incident that occurred on Saturday. Our actions did not reflect the standards, values, or character of the Michigan Bills organization. We recognize that our conduct was unacceptable and understand the disappointment it caused to our players, fans, opponents, league officials, and the community that we represent. While we believe we were acting in self defense, we acknowledge that the situation escalated beyond what was appropriate. As part of that accountability, owner Michael Anderson will be stepping down from his position, and Pierce Brown will assume responsibility for leading the team for the remainder of the season. And on the top, you mentioned that this was obviously AI. What the hell happened with Michigan? What happened with this fight this weekend? Just kind of what have you been told? What happened over the weekend? And how why not just bring out with a genuine response instead of using AI? Because it's being taken over everywhere, especially with these leagues all over social media.
Yeah. Well, it just escalated into the game. Things got heated. Um, and I believe Mikey Anderson, the owner, was one of the people who kind of kept egging on the Lima. And
Mm.
supposedly Lima guy went to a bag and threatened that he had a gun, and then it went overboard. People started yelling, people started pushing, screaming, and ultimately we seen what happened. The league should be handing down more suspensions. I think. I don't think Mikey stepping down does anything. I think it needs to be bigger than that. I think there needs to be a lesson taught with this.
What about that other fight when the with the Georgia Vipers?
Yeah, I seen some of that at the end of the game. It was just bad sportsmanship, honestly. One team was trying to kneel the ball down. Another team came through smacking shit. Like,
Mm,
and in football, that's not really what you're supposed to be doing. So
right.
then they called a flag, and I see the coaches start freaking out, and then they call off the flag. The words have some, the refs have some words with the coaches, and next thing you know, the Vipers coaches are chasing down the refs, and then the Vipers players are swinging at the refs, and it goes on from there, man.
I think that's so crazy to me just thinking about how seriously that some of these people take the game of football, which is not a bad thing, but I also have my own thoughts on this. I never really took this whole thing seriously. And I'm going to be straight up with you on this. I always had this mindset of I'm going to go into this year, I'm going to play football. Whatever happens at the end of the year is going to happen. Am I going to have my own thoughts about what goes on in this season? Absolutely. But I hear a lot of guys on my team from other teams that I have gotten to see, gotten to kind of talk to a little bit in the semi-pro space, really take this to the point where it's almost a do or die type of situation for them, which is insane to me because I like it's like we mentioned
Oh.
we started this stream. We're grown men with regular jobs and women, and we just do this thing on the side for fun. And I understand that there's leagues that have a lot of issues. There's leagues that are obviously not making money at this point in time because let's be honest, these developmental leagues around the United States are not a money making machine. They don't have the resources and they don't have the funding to compete with other developmental leagues such as the CFL, the Continental Football League, which is turning into a disaster, and of course with the XFL, UFL, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you said it best, bro. It's not a good look, and like I said, it's sad because it overshadows so many good things. Like one of the championship games that I think we need to talk about, that we should be talking about, is the EAFL championship down in Florida. The Tarpon Springs Pirates beat the Cherokee County Bruins for the second straight year in the championship game. They have a top five quarterback, and I believe it's a top three team in the league. Um, this is a game, and that we should have been really headlining this podcast, but since these fights happen, I really feel the best thing to do is discuss what happened with the fight so we can stop it, and maybe then the future championship games won't be overshadowed.
What do you think needs to happen whenever it comes to these fights? Like, what needs to be put in place?
I think before anything happens, I think shit should have been like prevented, like with preventative measures. Maybe like the process to get in the leagues is crazy. You can't just say I'm a football player and sign up. Like
Right.
that's what happens though. And there's no background
The
checks.
NLFA was like that.
There's no situational questions like they have at the NFL drafts. Like, what would you do in situation? Like, you have to ask these guys, like, hey, if your team gets in a fight, what are your options? See where their mindset's at. Like,
Mm.
you can tell a lot by a player by what they answer. Like, and these questions aren't asked. So I think that's a start. And then from the punishment perspective, you gotta lay down the law. I mean, I'm a players guy, but at the same time, these players mess up. You need to show everyone else that they aren't gonna bring down the league because of one person.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that one because that's how a lot of these leagues are. And whenever I joined in February, I didn't realize how close the season was. It was literally just under 2 months away from starting when I joined the Cardinals. Some of these guys were in fall camp training, been there since I think August or September, whenever they started fall camp. And the fact that I joined just then, I couldn't tell you how big my eyes opened up when I first joined this team. Second day I go out there to practice to go shoot, I asked them, "Hey, do you need a physical to play?" They said, "Nope." I was just sitting there. I'm just amazed. I'm like, "What in the hell?" So all you have to do is just pay a fee, and then you're registered with the league, and you're good to go. He said, "Yep, just bring your own equipment, have your own shoulder pads, helmet, whatever it is, and you're good to go." And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, "There's no way that this is legit. There's no way that this is real." I was just blown away at how this was kind of run. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm also saying that this is something that that I looked at from hindsight and saying, I mean, these are grown men. They're capable of handling their own business. It's not like it's not like this is a very serious thing that they're doing. It's not like this is preparing them to go to the NFL, because let's just be honest. There's only one person that I know that went from playing semi-pro ball to spending a couple years with the New Orleans Saints. That's Delvin Breaux. And if you know Delvin Breaux's story, it's so unique because it's a right place, right time type of story. Goes from playing for the Vipers in Louisiana. This is a team that's based out of Lafayette. Gets a tryout with the team. Are you familiar with the New Orleans Voodoo?
I am familiar. The arena team.
Yes. Goes to play there, an all-star in the Arena League, gets a tryout in the CFL, spends some time there, ends up getting a tryout with the Saints, and makes the team and spends 3 years as a starting safety. That's it. That's a 1 in a million type of opportunity for him. And I'm not saying to these guys that are watching, don't pursue your dreams. I know a lot of guys that were teammates of mine that say, "Hey, I want to go play in arena ball. I want to go make it to the league." Go for it. Go for it. I'm not stopping you, but I'm also realistic whenever I look at it and say, there is no way in hell that my 22-year-old self and the way that my body was feeling after games, it was like, I don't know how much time I got left doing this. I know that I have a life outside of football, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing out here. and not really focus on what I want for something that I don't even know is going to even work out at the end of the day. But I would have I have stories for days just from 1 year of playing semi pro ball. But Tyler, I wanted to ask you this too. What is one crazy story that you have from playing semi pro ball that really kind of either opened your eyes or something that you'll never really forget?
Um, I think one simple story for me, and it sticks with me still to this day, is just I'm a 20, I was 22, 23-year-old kid, young man, working out every day, trying to make the team, trying to get better and go to the next level. And I sit the whole year. The whole year, I probably play like 2 or 3 snaps on special teams, and I just sit. And then the following year, I go to a different team and I win team MVP. And then after that, I go into arena and start balling. And I think it's just a good story for young kids to not take no as an answer, not listen to the naysayers and doubters who say you aren't good enough, because there's a lot of players in semi-pro that are good enough to play other places, but they're in the wrong situation.
Right.
So I think that story should kind of sit with some people, and so they can believe.
What was one of the best pieces of advice that you heard from somebody entering into this industry, into this semi pro industry?
Um, I think one of the best advice I heard was, if you don't take yourself seriously, no one else will.
Why do you say that?
Um,
Well, I say that the only reason I asked that is because I think I definitely kind of struggle with that because I already basically admitted, did I take the game as seriously as I wanted to, or really kind of take this season as seriously as I wanted to? Not necessarily, but I also understand that whenever I'm on the field, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You know, I enjoy getting to do something like this, and I take pride in doing something like this, if that makes any sense.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, yeah, mine was just I think if you take it seriously, then you'll believe in yourself more. And then once that happens, I think a lot's possible from the football perspective. Like I wasn't the best football player, but I took it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And because I took it seriously, it opened up more lanes for me, which came to be media at the end of my playing days. And once I started doing that, and I took the same mindset, it changed me. It made me a better person. It made me a better media analyst and a football guy, I think.
What influenced you to kind of get into just talking about the game of semi pro, transitioning
Uh,
from a player to the media sphere?
well, I have a good friend. His name's Steven, Steven Shu. He lives on the East Coast, and uh, I seen a post that he made. He's a arena sports reporter, one of the best ones in the country. Um, he runs inside the arena, and that's kind of one of the reasons where I got the name Inside the Lines, because I seen a post from him and he said, "Who wants to be a sports reporter and cover games for Arena?" And I know I had the itch for sports still, so I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." So I traveled to Chicago and did some games for him, and
Wow.
ever since then, something stuck with me. I knew I knew more about semi-pro than Arena, so I kind of wanted to help the people that I could help. So that kind of influenced me, along with sports shows like First Things First, First Take with Stephen A.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jason Brown, the coach Jason Brown. He has a show on YouTube now. Influences me. There's been a bunch of different people and shows who kind of showed me kind of the blueprint, if you would say.
You know what's funny is I also listen to JB on a regular basis. I get a lot of
Yeah.
inspiration from his shows.
Yes. Yes. And you could tell, the way I talk, man, I'm just raw. I just want to say what's on my mind.
Right.
I'm not really worried about. I want to go mainstream, but I'm not worried about going mainstream because I rather people hear the passion in my voice than
Mm.
me not being able to actually say what's on my mind. And that's another reason why I'm not with different leagues because I tried to be with the PFA and they tried to just shut me down and limit to what I could say about teams. And I didn't
Mm.
feel like that. I didn't feel like that was right. I felt like I needed to say the honest opinion about team. That's why they hired me. And when that didn't work out, that turned me up, man. It made me go from 0 to 100. Like I wanted to prove everybody wrong that I could actually grow organically doing it my way.
You just went independent, and I mean, so far it's worked out really well for you. You're one of the probably the biggest semi-pro platform out there right now on the internet. I mean, over 14,000 followers right now, and the base is continuing to grow. I mean, you literally just had what, just over 2,500 new followers in the last several months. I mean, it's impressive to say the least because of the rawness of your product and the unfiltered access that you speak about leagues, about certain teams. And I think it's important because I think that's what's missing in the media sphere as well, especially when it comes to NFL and college football as well, is that what we try to do here is very similar to what you're trying to do with semi pro. Be honest, tell you the truth, and tell you our thoughts on things around the league. And I think that's important. I think that's the most I think that's the honest thing to do because let's just be honest. How much honesty is there in today's media? How much sugarcoating do we see from the media?
Lots.
Too much. That's why we're out here to kind of do not necessarily the dirty work, but to
Yeah.
but
That
to
underground, that underground dirty work, man. You said it. You said it.
pretty much just to dig up all the rubble and just pull out the truth at the end of the day. So I think that's very important, and I think it's really really impressive. Going to a couple comments here on Facebook. Hey, shout out all the coaches out there that are watching us. Coach EJ Walls, great season. Thank you for all you did for us. Thank you, Coach. The Bayou Lacombe Cardinals are much more organized than many other organizations at that level of play. I would agree, absolutely, because when the way that we ran things this year, we have charter buses that drive us to and from games, no matter what the distance was. We don't have to worry about either loading into a cheap shuttle bus or anything like that, and worrying about um, if we have to like stop anywhere or have to pay our own way to get to places. We have a great way of reaching our community or known throughout the North Shore community. And I think that was very important because I know there's a lot of leagues that have a very, very high fee just to play the game, not to mention that the fact that you also have to buy your own equipment. Bayou Lacombe is a lot different, and I think it's really really impressive to say the least to see where they have gone over the last 10 years as an organization and where they're going to continue to go. But how many other leagues I'm going to ask you this. How many other leagues out there do you think kind of have that similar blueprint that Bayou Lacombe has, but are not really well known?
Um, I would say maybe I'll say maybe four or five other leagues. I would say there's like five five top leagues and then maybe like five mid-tier leagues. And the Bayou definitely was in the top one of the top 10 leagues in the country. I did a ranking. I can't remember the where I put your league at. But there's definitely a couple, not many, but a couple like the PFA. I
Mm-hmm.
still consider them a top five league. The EAFL, obviously.
Right.
Um, the CMFL, they're pretty solid. Um, but yeah, I also judge the leagues off of obviously no bullshit happening, and I didn't hear a lot of bullshit happening out of your league, so that's a positive.
Why do you think other leagues don't use the blueprint that, many other leagues that you've listed in your top five? How come they haven't really used that blueprint?
I think it starts up top. I think some owners think they have it all figured out, so they don't need to change. Um,
Do you think
ego,
it's an ego? Yep. I was about to ask if it was an
yeah,
ego thing.
yeah, ego. I just really want us to get rid of the whole fucking second chance gun thing. Like, if they
Mhm.
have a previous history with gun violence or violence in general, like, let's not do that anymore. That'd be great.
Do you think there needs to be more background checks when it comes to this league, or when it
Um,
comes to semi-pro in general? I should ask.
yeah, I would say so. Um, and I wouldn't say like necessarily like background checks they do from like job interviews or nothing, but like
Mhm.
they should definitely take a blueprint from the NFL draft and ask your fucking prospects simple questions that you're gonna find out what their mindset is, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good mindset to have. I think that's a really good process that I definitely think that needs to be all over the country. I think that the NFL draft is a really good process to handle potential future players and whatnot. And I know that there's questionnaires and stuff online, but I think in person interviews are going to be even more important when it comes to that as well.
Yeah, I love that. That idea is awesome. The in-person interviews way better. And shit, even if they had like a third party like myself interview these cats, like I would
Hmm.
love to talk to them and figure out what their mindset is. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm not a fucking robot, so I'm not gonna be able to
Right.
tell everything, but I would like to be able to say like I can read people a little bit, have a vibe about
Right.
who they are and their mindset about shit. Speaking of
But
mindset, sorry to fucking go off subject, but
you're good.
what's your what's your mindset about, bro? We had a fucking. I'm not a fan of running up the score in teams, bro, and I need to know what has the procedure always been up 50 points on a
So they
team. Is
so they usually have a running clock in the second half if you're up by like I think it's 45 or 50 because we got up when we played the Gulf Coast Raiders first game of the season. I think it was like 49-7 or something like that. I don't know if Shane or any of them are in the chat and they can probably comment on it. But we had a running clock in the entire second half, and we just kind of I wouldn't necessarily say eased up, but we definitely started taking our starters out in the fourth quarter. But I mean, from that point on, too, if you score, you score. That's my
yeah,
thing. Do I think that running up the score is a bad thing at times? Eh, not necessarily, but it depends on the basis of why this is happening and what's I think that's really the most important thing because it's definitely going to help when it comes to the ranking side of things and potentially getting yourselves into a national invite as well. That's my mindset. Well, I'm curious to hear about yours.
Um, I mean, bro, it's simple. I mean, growing up, we've learned about sportsmanship,
Right.
and running up the score, going for record isn't sportsmanship.
Hmm.
That's not it at all, bro. Like that's not that's not winning with grace at
I
all when you're
think
running up the score.
is this the game where that quarterback threw 10 touchdowns and it was like a 94 to nothing game?
Yeah.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. I need to hear
Um.
about this one.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just don't agree with it, man. They're playing a team that had 15 players, a first year team, and
Wow.
you're you're going for records on them when you could be putting in your backups. Like that's the procedure, bro. That's the unwritten rule of football. You ask 90% of coaches, they're gonna tell you. You they don't even have to you don't have to give them context. You say, okay, you're up 50. What's your next move? We're gonna take out our starters and get the backups some playing time.
Hmm.
It's never leave our guys in. Let's see how many touchdowns they can get.
Mm.
So and it just kind of bugged me the wrong way when you had their players and coaches and the owners hopping in the comments defending it, saying there's nothing in the they. I heard that we took the starters out, which was a lie, and then I heard, well, it's not in the rule books. Man,
Hmm.
that's not that's it's an unwritten rule, man. Like everybody knows that, and like trust me, I get it. They showed up, put it on them,
Right.
but at some point, you have to know that's not okay to do.
I definitely agree. I think that that went a little overboard. I think that the fact that that was a 94 nothing lead, the fact that you kept your starters in, and look, if you run up the score, you run up the score. Do it with pride. Humble your pie. You have a comfortable lead. Get your backups in the game, and then let them play. I mean, it's. I get it. You're going for records, but let's just be real with each other. Who gives a freaking shit about any of those records in semi-pro football? You're not in the NFL. You're not getting unless you're getting paid $30,000 a freaking game, like this
Jesus.
is an arena league, and even then, you're still not. Which I highly doubt is even happening. You're not getting paid. None of us are. None of us got paid to play this past season. And what's the point? Really, what is the point? Play the freaking game. Nobody is
Yeah.
going to give damn, a damn what happened this season, what happened this past season, whatever. And nobody will. Just play the freaking game. But I think from that, I'm not a big fan of running up the score. If it's a rival, that's another thing. But
Yeah.
that's a conversation for another day. But I'm not
Yeah.
really I wasn't really a big proponent of what happened. I saw a couple of the Facebook posts. Wasn't really a good look for that team, just in my opinion. So it was interesting weekend this past weekend. So what we got this weekend? What's one of the big matchups we need to look forward to in the world of semi-pro?
One of the big matchups I would say, it's gonna be. I'm not gonna go this weekend. I'm gonna go the following weekend. We got Sheboygan traveling to St. Paul Pioneers.
Mm.
That should be a good matchup. Sheboygan's favored by, I think 17.
Oh wow!
So, but they just gave the Racing Raiders a run for the money. So I think Sheboygan's gonna come away with the win.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Racing a top 15 team in Tier 1 or Tier 2?
Tier 1, top 15.
Figured so.
I have them actually. I just ranked them number 5,
Wow.
and yeah, and that's kind of high, but they're undefeated, and they're just they're a legit program in my opinion. They have a top, I would say, 3 wide receiver core. They got 3 wide receivers. I think his name's Joe Garcia, who's like a Wes Welker, Cooper Cup type.
Right.
They got a 6'5", 230 guy, just Deshaun Foster. He's veteran. He's huge. So he's like a DK Metcalf type. They got a couple new rookies. Think his name's Will Gallagher. He's a beast. And they have another guy too, but they're loaded, man. So that's definitely a team to watch out for moving forward.
Tyler, before we let you get rolling, I think it's time that you join me and we will be announcing a winner of our $25 gift card giveaway. For those of you that are unaware, we finally hit 250 subscribers on the YouTube page.
Let's
I asked
go.
you guys to like my post on X and or YouTube to be entered into the drawing. We have 11 people that are entered. We're going to pick a winner right now. Here we go. The winner of our $25 gift card is Hillary BDM. Congratulations. You are the winner of a $25 gift card of your choosings. You will be receiving a direct message from me after the show, and you can claim your gift card today. Just in a minute, we'll get into our $10 giveaway as well. But Tyler, thank you for your time, my friend. Where can we find more of your work?
You can find me on Facebook, Inside the Lines. I'll be there. That's the only place you can find me. Just go to Facebook, type in Inside the Lines, and check out my reviews, check out my photos, my posts, and leave me a review if you can. That'd be awesome.
Tyler, we appreciate your time, man. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you for what you're doing for the game of semi-pro, and we look forward to talking with you again soon, brother.
Yes, sir. Take care, my friend. Thank you again.
Absolutely. That's Tyler Larkin of Inside the Lines joining us on the Southern sports scene. We appreciate his time as talk some really good semi-pro football, man. Always a joy and a pleasure to talk some ball. All right. Before we continue on with the show, we got to get into some of your predictions and some of your thoughts that you guys had on Twitter. I asked you last week to leave a hot take for me to react. This will be the first of, I don't even know how many more Tuesdays we have until college football season. I believe it's like 9 or so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe 7 or 8, maybe 7 or 8 Tuesdays until we get to the start of college football season. So make sure you all do us a favor. Every Tuesday, make sure you leave your comments. Every time I post on Twitter, I'll post on Facebook as well and on Instagram. Give me your hot takes going into the 2026 college football season. And let me know what your thoughts are. Some of your hot takes, maybe some not so hot takes, obvious takes, whatever it is. Get on over there and drop them for us, man. We appreciate your time and we appreciate what you have for us. All right. So we're going to go through some of these comments that we got on the Twitter sphere. We'll go ahead and take a look at some. My guy, Reed Napper of Love for the Game, which, by the way, me and him just recorded a video over the weekend. That is in the process of getting uploaded and recorded or getting in the process of being edited and going to be put out on social media very, very soon. He says Jared Curtis will be a top 6 quarterback in the SEC this year. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll rate that. That's a pretty good one. I'm not gonna lie, but I'll give that one a solid 7.5. I think Jared Curtis picks up where Diego Pavia left off, but there's obviously going to be a drop off. Vanderbilt lost a lot I mean, a lot from this past season. It is hard to counter off of what you were able to do this past year. A legendary season for Vanderbilt. What a ride that it has been. You're obviously about to enter into a rebuild year with Clark Leah, but it starts with him winning in the recruiting trail. You return a guy like or I think you do. Yeah, you return a guy like Junior Sherrill, who was one of the more dynamic receivers in the SEC, broke out for over almost 800 yards receiving, had some games where you could potentially look at him and say, this could be a future wide receiver one for this roster. And I think that he's right there. 8 catches for $123 in the ReliaQuest Bowl against Iowa, popped off against teams like Kentucky, had some big moments against secondaries like Texas is. And they look, had some really, really solid games, slow coming out of the gates in the month of September, and then popped off from Utah State and beyond. This is a guy that is going to chuck the football around. I don't know what it's going to look like with him in this Tim Beck offense. I know that he has some wheels for the most part, but I think right now with who you have right now in college football, you obviously have to take into consideration that these are the quarterbacks that right now in college football in the SEC that you have competing to be a top 6 quarterback. And right now, I just don't know if I can see him being in that top 6. Now, 2027, yes, it's very likely that is possible. But when you're competing with the likes of guys like John Mateer, who should be back from his thumb injury, he looked phenomenal at Manning Passing Academy. People were calling him, oh, he's jacked, he's this, he's jacked, he's jacked. No, he's not. You just look good from the way that your arm looks in this sleeveless hoodie. I mean, I'm not denying that the fact that the kid has definitely put on some weight. He looks really, really good. He was chucking the football around, but I would not consider him jacked at all. When you talk about guys like him, Gunnar Stockton obviously returns. I think he's the number 2 quarterback right now. Trinidad Chambliss, I would have at number 1. We'll see what Lenore Sellers brings this year. Can he have a bounce back season after what happened this past year? That depends on what his offensive line will do. By the way, we will do a South Carolina deep dive at some point this year. What does Sam Levitt bring to the table? That's 5 quarterbacks. Marcel Reed obviously could be a very, very, very elite quarterback. You have Arch Manning, who's in that realm as well. Arch Manning had a solid second half of 2026 or 2025. Let's see if that momentum carries over into this upcoming season. And then you obviously have to look at some of the dark horses, guys like Kenny Minchie and Mississippi State's Kamario Taylor, seeing what they could potentially do this year. But Jerry Curtis as a top 6 quarterback right now this upcoming season, I'd rate that about a 7.5. That's up there, though, man. That's a really, really good take. Ravi Magar says that Miami is making a serious run at the national title picture. I don't think that's really a hot take at all. I think that realistically, Miami is. I would say that they are the top 5 favorite to be in the national championships and to be a national champion this year. When you look at what Miami did this offseason, you go out and you get one of the most incredible quarterbacks in Darian Mensah, coming from the Jonathan Brewer offense, which was all about more of a balanced attack. Then you get him into a Shannon Dawson offense where he is really about to be unleashed. It's very likely that we could see a Darian Mensah rise like what Cam Ward had in 2024. Very, very similar in size and stature, very similar in play style, and the way that they complement each other and the amount of weapons that they have. You talk about bringing back one of the most exciting players in Malachi Toney, who popped off this past year. You bring back a rushing offense that is going to be incredible incredibly deep this season. It's going to be a big difference this year. Malachi Tony was a 100 catch guy this past season. That's impressive to say the least. Mark Fletcher is going to be one of the more physical running backs this season. I'm surprised that he was a third-team All-ACC despite running for over 1,000 yards and catching 17 balls for 140 yards. Guys, Malachi Tony is not Malachi Tony, but Mark Fletcher is such a dynamic running back, and he's so physical as well. I'm excited to see what he brings. I think that the opportunities that are among him are going to be he's going to be relentless with the football in his hands. No question about it. I definitely see him being arguably the best running back in the ACC. Miami is loaded again. They returned majority of their production from the secondary. They added Damon Wilson on the edge, who was an elite edge rusher from Missouri. Miami right now, I think, is a top 5 favorite for the national championship. I'd rate that about a 3 out of 10. Really good. Not really surprising, but again, the U is not officially back until they win a national championship, per Mario Cristobal. Alan Castro says that Tennessee will win the SEC East and secure a playoff spot. That is what I would say about 10 years ago, but the SEC East is no longer in existence. Regardless of this, he's saying that Tennessee will be a top 2 team this year and be in the playoffs. I'm not going to lie. That's really good. I'd rate that about I put that an 8 over Jerry Curtis being a top 6 quarterback. Because listen, look at what Tennessee lost this past year. Look at what they have to replace. You just lost arguably the guy that you were depending on being the elite pass rusher in Chaz Coleman. He is now no longer involved in this with this program. Offensively, I think you're going to be just fine. I think you have a very balanced offensive line that complements one another. We previewed Tennessee on Friday and said that in every skill position, and when you look at them from an offensive line perspective, they are deep. Mike Matthews returns and could be one of 3 receivers on this Tennessee roster that are going to be fighting for all conference selections. I really believe that. You return 2 dynamic running backs in Deshaun Bishop and Star Thomas, both of which were utilized effectively this past year. The biggest question, though, is going to be at quarterback. Bottom line. Because whether you go with George McIntyre, who is the projected starter right now, we've heard some good things about him. Faison Brandon, who is the 5-star coming from out of high school. He's the 5-star freshman. He's a guy that I think can really do some good things. And the only problem is that he is young. It's not his first year in the offense. That's why George McIntyre is getting the nod over a guy like Faison Brandon. Now, do I expect that there will be changes made? Yes, I do. I think Faison Brandon takes over if George McIntyre starts to struggle, and I think they're going to be much more wide open with his play style, and he fits the Josh Heupel system a little bit better compared to George McIntyre. But I'm going to put this one in 8.5 out of 10 officially. This is a really good take, and I think this is really bold to say. Newton, DC says Ohio State is winning it all this season. Again, not really that bold of a take. I have this a 2.5 out of 10. Ohio State is my way too early favorite to win the national championship right now. I think they're back in with a vengeance. You bring back the best receiver in college football, the best quarterback in college football. Despite what you lost in the secondary this past year, which hurt you at times, I think you're going to be just fine. I think you're much more physical up front, despite losing Caden McDonald. You got James Smith from Alabama, who let's just be honest about James Smith. He is a wrecking freaking ball. 3-1 tech. He dominates the line of scrimmage consistently, and he will continue to do that throughout this offseason as he continues to develop into a high-level defensive tackle that could see his name called within the first 30 picks, which I do see potentially having. Ohio State is deep in at offensive line again. I think your receiving room added some weapons. Jeremiah Smith, I expect to win a Biletnikoff this year again. I'm putting this at 2.5 out of 10, man. This is an easy take for me. And then lastly, Julius Maxwell says that Alabama will have their worst season under Kalen DeBoer. I will say this. Alabama is in for a rebuild this year. Gone is Ty Simpson. Ryan Coleman Williams. Is he just a one-game wonder? Because let's just be honest right now, that Georgia game has been so long ago. And every time that we talk about Ryan Coleman Williams, everybody points to that Georgia game. And everybody since then has called him the next best thing. But right now, we're about to be 2 seasons removed from that. And what has changed? He has struggled with catching the football. He has struggled with trying to adjust to this offense. He has struggled in big-time moments. What is he going to change this year? I don't know. And I have put this out many times. Ryan Williams is very overrated. He's another middle-of-the-pack wide receiver. And in my opinion, he's not a top 5 receiver in the SEC. And I think you and I are very, very aware of that. Whew, excuse me. If you don't like that, I don't really care. Alabama has their worst season under Kalen DeBoer. Unless they go 8-4, I mean, I don't know if that's realistically a bad year for them. But I do think that there's a lot of Bama fans that are concerned going into this year. But I think that Bama, from a defensive perspective, is still going to be among the elite in college football. I think Cam Womack has a really good offense prepared for him. Ryan Grubb has done a really good job with this offensive line, with what they have on that side of the ball. But I think people are looking more towards them going to Kentucky and seeing that as a trap game than I've ever seen in my lifetime. If they lose on the road and going to Kentucky, this team is going to have a very bad season. However, when I look at this team and when I look at what they have, I think they take care of business. They should be favored in a couple of games. And really more than a handful. I do believe they start 5-0 this year. And then you have a 4-game gauntlet that is going to define this year. Georgia at home, at Neyland Stadium, Texas A&M at home, at LSU. If they go 2-2 this stretch, whether they lose to Georgia and LSU, they're still going to be a playoff team, because I don't see them slipping up going on the road to Vandy. I don't see them slipping up at Chattanooga, and I don't see them slipping up at Auburn. So I'm going to put that that's a good take. I'm going to put that at 5.5 out of 10. Really, really solid one. I just don't see it happening. But I had to pick a winner. And you know what? I think that this one took the cake, in my opinion. And it was a hard take. It was a really, really, really good take. Because number one, I abhor this team. And our winner of the hot take Tuesday for the week of June 30th, the year of our Lord and Savior 2026, is Rodney Robinson, who says that. Oh, wrong one. Whoops. Share this tab. He says, even with Colorado making a bowl games, Deion is still ends up leaving for the NFL once the season is over. That is a freaking 10. That is a freaking, oh my God. Are you kidding me? Let me just tell you this. First of all, the fact that you think that Colorado is making a bowl game is almost laughable. I don't see that ever happening with a team like CU. You know why? Because this roster is dog shit. Even with the addition of guys like Danny Sudero and getting a whole new offensive play caller in Brennan Marion. I do think that they're going to be better, but I also have to have a cause for concern. Because number one, the Colorado situation is a freaking mess. This team is not serious about the game of football. This team is a freaking joke at times. This team I can never take seriously, ever. And they are the only ones that are at fault at the end of the day. So if they end up making a bowl game, I'll tip my hat to them. But I do not think that a team like Colorado is going to be a playoff contender, or not, or I shouldn't say is going to even be a bowl team. I just don't. If they finish 4-8 or 5-7 this year, I think administration has to look at this situation and say, it's time to pull a $6 million trigger. We got to fire Deion Sanders. And I think they will. Sorry. I mean, he has nobody else to blame but himself for this. He had two things that went his way. His sons went to the league. And, of course, his boy Travis Hunter is also in the league. So, congratulations to him. But, again, who else do you have to blame but yourself? Because Deion is a freaking mess. But congratulations to Rodney Robinson for winning our sweepstakes, for winning our Hot Take Tuesday question of the week. We will be back next week with another Hot Take Tuesday and a lot to talk about then. All right. Real fast before we get up out of here, because I did kind of want to hit Georgia for a little bit, but I don't think we're going to have time to do so. I want to go ahead and hit on some teams that I think are going to, actually, you know what? We'll do our biggest step forwards and backwards on our next live shows, which will be this Friday. And then we'll hit into some other steps. All right. I do believe that we are still sleeping on Georgia, by the way. Let me tell you why. When was the last time that anybody had a conversation about Georgia and them being a playoff team? When was the last time that you and I had conversations regarding Georgia regarding the type of athletes that they have and knowing that they're still a playoff contender. Knowing that at the end of the day, this is a team that is still going to be atop the SEC. That despite the advancements in NIL, the fact that people are saying, oh, that Georgia's fallen off. No, they're not. Who has ever said that Georgia's fallen off? They've won the SEC the last 2 years. You're telling me that this is a team that's about to fall off? You're sadly mistaken. Gunnar Stockton returns for his second full year as a starter, and to me, he's a top 3 quarterback in the SEC. Last year going into the season, I had questions regarding what Gunnar Stockton could do. Those thoughts were quickly put to rest after that Tennessee game. And from then on out, I always consider Gunnar Stockton to be a top 5 SEC quarterback. From there on. And I was right. Gunnar Stockton is a phenomenal quarterback. I think he fits well with what Mike Bobo wants to run. As much crap as I give Mike Bobo at times. But again, this is a very, very, very good roster. I think that what you got from the portal, you get guys like Isaiah Canyon, who can be a deep ball threat receiver, averaged almost 15 yards a catch at Georgia Tech. And on 33 catches, had 4 scores. He's a Georgia product. I think that's amazing that you're able to flip a guy from your rival all the way to Georgia. You bring in Dante Dowdell, who was a phenomenal running back, very physical running back this past year with Kentucky. Averaged over 5 yards a catch, and a guy that I would expect to stretch the field on a lot of different games. I think he's going to be one of the more underrated and underappreciated running backs this upcoming season. And I think that, just what he brings to the table as a running back, he just brings so much depth and he brings so much experience at that position and as he finishes his last year of eligibility. And then another guy that I thought really complimented on the opposite side of the football to pair alongside with who could be arguably, in my opinion, I think could be a favorite for a Jim Thorpe Award in Ellis Robinson, a guy that I really thought had a solid season this past year in 2026. 4 interceptions this past year, carrying the torch of great Georgia safeties that have come in years past. Guys like Malachi Starks is a great example of such. But you bring in Khalil Barnes, who just 2 years ago, phenomenal football player, was all over the field. 2025 was a freshman All-American in 2023, and a guy that I think is going to continue to establish himself as one of the premier safeties in college football, and a very, very physical safety as well. So I would expect for his name to be called within the first couple of picks of the NFL draft this upcoming season, maybe being a top 50 pick when it is all said and done. Georgia's still going to be Georgia. I think this defensive line is still going to be very good. I think that despite all that they have lost and all the crap that Glenn Schumann has gotten, I think this is a massive year for him. I think that they're rebounding significantly. I think Georgia's still within the title hunt once again. Obviously, this is a deeper SEC than it was at the beginning of the decade. And it's much more wide open than we remember. This is a massive year for Kirby Smart and company because, look, you win a championship, you win a national title this year, you shut everybody up about Georgia's falling off. Georgia's doing this. Georgia's doing that. And no, they're not. Georgia never fell off with Kirby Smart. The only reason why you say that they're falling off is because they haven't won in an expanded playoff. Most of which has been their own undoing. Gunnar Stockton struggled with turnovers this past year. Defensively, you struggled in shutting down a mobile quarterback. Can you finally do that this year? That is going to be the big question. I think Georgia still has a very, very good roster. I think they've loaded at wide receiver. They didn't they were significantly better in the drops this past year than they were in 2024, but it still was an issue. You've got to be more and more and more deep in the wide receiver room. Bottom line. So let's see what happens with Georgia. Early test early against Oklahoma at home. Vanderbilt, you get it home. You go to Bryant-Denny. At Ole Miss, at South Carolina. Those are going to be interesting games. That November 7th game is going to be what is on everybody's calendar. The Trinidad Chambliss and Gunnar Stockton 3 matchup. Can Trinidad Chambliss go off again against this Georgia defense? We'll see. Lot to be discovered from there. But guys, thank you so much for hopping on into the Southern sports scene. We will be seeing you guys very, very soon. We appreciate all of you that have tuned in on Facebook. I know that it's been a while since I did do a live show on Facebook. But again, y'all leave a comment down below if you like the video. And make sure you go on over to the YouTube page and subscribe as well, as we are now on the road to 300 subscribers. Might do a $30 giveaway next time around. Y'all have a great rest of the week, man. We'll see y'all soon. Peace.